Alright. So, what's up, everybody? Okay. Let's see. Alright, so I don't know if I should get into explaining this, but this might be the peak amount of people that we get, I'm not sure. I wonder if there's a way I can show this diagram on another screen or something. I wonder. Oh, okay, so I can add another screen capture. And I can make it cropped version. Hold on. This is gonna be kind of cool. Let's see. So I'm gonna move this over here. Oh wait, that's not right. Okay. So I want that one. Look okay. I don't know. That's kind of interesting, isn't it? I think that looks alright, but I don't know if I can restrict it to a certain window is the thing. Can I do that? Is there a window capture? Oh yeah, there's window capture, duh. Oh, it doesn't look like it's... Oh, it shows the cursor, there you go. Ah, man, that's a shame. Is there another way of doing it? Oh, well, we could set it to an image. I can save it as an image and then... But then I can't really manipulate it. Does anyone know what I'm doing? I'm just trying to show the diagram in the lower left corner. Oh yeah, that doesn't work. I just have to deal with that. I wonder if that looks... Is that legible? I don't think so. Oh well. I think I will source it as an image rather than... The FX one is crazy. This one. Okay, so I don't know. I don't know if that works. I'm gonna check. I should have done this beforehand, but I just had that idea. So. Not really. Doesn't really work. I'll keep it there regardless. If someone asks about it, I can just open it. You know, in a window or something. Alright. Yeah, let's actually do some programming. There we go. So yeah, that's basically just something I put together quickly. This thingy. I'm gonna turn it into UML diagram. I was kind of disappointed that there's no mechanism to, there's no plugin to generate QML from the C++ code into Qt Creator. At least not that I found. You have to kind of do some of it manually, which makes sense because it's kind of hard to do. You need a C++ parser, and that's just kind of mad, but I was thinking it's possible, but I guess it's not really that comprehensive. I would find that music mix I was doing. Well. Anyway, so that's the class diagram. Pretty simple. This isn't all the classes, but this kind of gives you an idea of how it's supposed to work. You have the CDN master session, and it's going to own the or spawn a CDN, which is basically these two sessions right here, the uploading session and the hosting session, and those control this stored file or sets of stored files which are stored in this file bucket class. File bucket is registered by the file bucket registry, which converts the state of the file bucket into what's called a file bucket registry item, which then when the program closes, it can be converted back into a file bucket instance via the file bucket registry item converter. And so it's tiny because that's all really that it's supposed to do. In the future there's going to be more complex stuff, but the first version isn't going to even have a distributed nature. It's all really just going to be hosted locally. So it'll work more like a file server at first, and then I'll pretty much be adding content negotiation and that sort of thing. So what's interesting is this thing, it's called a gossip protocol. Really interesting stuff. Let's see, I'm gonna walk over here. Alright, so we have this thing, it's called a gossip protocol, really interesting. It's part of distributed systems, and basically the way they explain it is it's kind of like an office, you know, office politics and whatnot, and you have all these agents and so on. And so the gist of it is I'm going to be writing a sort of gossip protocol of sorts where the nodes can talk to one another via what I call the name server. So that's not part of TinyCDN quite yet. I'm still sort of formulating how I want the details to go. But it's gonna happen. I've done a ton of research. I know how Facebook does their file storage. Look at this, very interesting. It's impossible to delete photos off of Facebook. Very interesting. This is an old article. What was it? When was this article published? What, something like 2008? Yeah, 2008. In 2008, they had about 6.5 billion photos. It's impossible for them to delete photos because their haystack algorithm is entirely based on cheap access, cheap storage, and you know, all that kind of stuff. Not planning to delete photos at all, since delete rate is very low. So if the resource that would be recovered are not worth the work to recover them in Facebook usage. Deletion just removes the entry from the index, which makes the data unavailable, but they don't bother to actually remove it from the haystack bulk storage system. So This is why I do not have a Facebook account, and if you have a Facebook account, they are storing everything. They do not delete anything. They say it right here on their engineering blog. Anyway, my system is going to have deletion, and it's going to have deletion for the reason that you should own your photos. You determine whether or not they're deleted. So let's go ahead and play album, short album. It's not even really an album. I haven't played this in a while. It's kind of unknown. Anyway, so that's shout out to Doobie. No, Doobie sounds like a Utkarsh. I don't know how to pronounce that name. Okay, so anyway, that's how Facebook does their stuff. This is the architecture. Pretty basic. So let's get to it. This is the C++ code that we're going to take a look at. Actually, I'm going to minimize that. The architecture is still in the corner if you kind of want to get a broad overview. It's just going to stay there. Alright. So, where did we leave off? Alright, we got all this code. So basically the gist of this is it doesn't compile, and I need to make it compile, so I'm just gonna run it. And it's gonna give me errors, and I'm gonna try to debug this. Alright. No mashing constructor for initialization of file bucket exception. Okay. So let's go ahead and look at our exceptions header file and determine. Okay, well, we have file bucket exception. That simply means that the constructor isn't right. Okay, so we have a ton of errors. I was using auto everywhere, and I kind of ignored the need to compile my code, which is really bad. Don't do that. That's a very short-sighted mistake, but you know, sometimes you just brainstorm, you know, you just try to get it done as quickly as possible. Alright, okay, I'm gonna fix some of the more intrinsic bugs. This is kind of just a type specification kind of issue right here. Okay, yeah, so we have a unique pointer, which means that, yeah, no worries, man. Have a good one. You can't, yeah, you can't pass an argument there. Let's see. Or actually I can, but I'm just doing it very quickly. Okay, so okay, so let's see. I'm gonna go to the registry item. Where's that at? Is that inline or something? Oh, it's F4. Okay. Okay. Yeah, it takes a unique pointer, so it can't really. The file bucket can't really call that method right here. Why is the file bucket doing that? Actually, that's definitely an error on my part. Let's go ahead and we're gonna move this up. So we're doing resource access as initialization. So what that means is when we initialize a file bucket, we are creating a new file bucket. We're persisting a new file bucket registry item. And so what the register item function does, or method rather, is it takes a look at the file bucket and it just takes the state of the file bucket as it's created and or as it has been created and after, sorry, and takes that and puts that off in a registry file, pushes it to the registry, and there we go. So basically this needs to be moved up to a different responsibility, or it's a responsibility of a different class, basically. But let me think about this. Now what I'm thinking is that instead of creating a file bucket class directly, we should always be dealing with a registry item. We should always get the file bucket from the registry because the registry owns the file bucket's registry items. And the registry items have a one-to-one correspondence with the file bucket. However, that's kind of contradictory because the registry is owned by something else. So let's go ahead, we're gonna look for, so wait, hold on, who owns the registry? Let's see. Session, right? No, it's current file bucket. So yeah, we have this kind of architectural issue where a vector of the file buckets exists in the sessions, but those are unique pointers, and we already sort of kind of kind of made it take a unique pointer for file bucket registry items. So what we can do, if we do a move constructor, will that work? Or does it have, it already has a move constructor, so that should be fine, right? It's changing ownership basically, temporarily. That should work. Yeah. So oh, that's not gonna work. Wait. Can you do that? I don't think so. Yeah, I'm thinking this is a different responsibility of some other class. So let's go ahead and let's do that. So when we create a file bucket, where are we creating it? CDN, okay. I don't know if we have a place where the CDNs are created, so let's actually. Okay, we have a interface for creating a CDN. That's kind of basic. It's almost embarrassingly basic. But then we don't have a place where that's called, it looks like, so I'm going to so we need a class that exists. Oh, here we go. Find or create file bucket allocator. I almost forgot about that. That's right. So, allocator, okay, that's right. So, yeah, I'm getting confused about my own code. It happens. So, the allocator will find or create a bucket based on the arguments that we pass to it. And it's going to do this on sort of a whim, but you can create file bucket or file bucket manually as well. But no, I think that's right, that we ought to sorry, oops. That we ought to create the file bucket there. So here we go. So this inline void register item, what it's going to do is when it finally creates the file bucket, instead of registering it in here like I wanted to do, instead of having this else clause, it's just going to terminate right there, and that's going to assume that it's successful. But it will raise an exception later on. So there we go. So we already determined that that's moving to the allocator, the find or create method, which we already had. So we're also going to move this comment in here as well. Oops. Oh, I love Qt Creator. It's like such a godsend. I didn't even realize. Okay. So. Alright. Awesome. Semantic issue. Out of line definition does not match any declaration of file bucket. Okay, that's fine. We'll do that. This part's kind of weird. Hold on. I'm gonna answer questions in the chat. How it'll work is if I'm like kind of into some code and writing, I probably won't reply to the chat, but if you wait, I'll check it out. Check out the chat. So just be patient when it comes to that. Okay, we got 2 subscribers. Great. I've been asked to collaborate before, and I've kind of been just so busy that I don't know when I can make it work. This is the problem. I'm not opposed to the idea, actually. I'm very supportive of that notion. But I've just been so out of time. But if you're interested, just keep in contact with me, and I'll see if I can make it work. So let's go ahead and finish this method here. We already figured out that this isn't a this pointer anymore, right? This is the file bucket itself. So this file bucket allocator is going to return a file bucket. Oh no, I didn't. It's going to return a unique pointer to that. So yeah, and then we can see that here. Oh, it does that based on bucket type. I'm sorry. Okay. Actually, wait a minute. That's auto. I can be auto. This cannot. So all this information needs to match this prototype, but I'm gonna ignore that for a minute and just focus on separating concerns. So let's go ahead and let's just, for now, let's do this where so that's a to-do. That's gonna just sort the heap, basically, and try to find a bucket that can be used. If a bucket doesn't exist that we need, and there's space, you know, then we'll do it. So basically, this is, oh yeah, this is the constructor that you're creating it not from the registry. So let's see. Registry. Oh yeah, load registry. So let's go here. Persistent bucket, convert to value. Okay, let's do this. If the ID is not provided, what that could mean is there's an undefined bucket. An ID hasn't been generated, and it needs one. So let's go ahead. Well, that can mean, well, alright, so let's go ahead and see this. Types, this is going to be the initialization procedure for creating file buckets directories. This procedure actually can be in the constructor file bucket. But the part that cannot be is this registry item portion, because the file bucket allocator is in no way, or sorry, the file bucket itself isn't responsible for its, ownership. The owner is. So let's see. When you find or create, you're probably going to have to provide, do we have access to the registry here? The uploading session has access to the registry for sure, but the thing is it needs to pass that registry into the bucket allocator, because the bucket allocator is just generic. There's like however many of them, so it's going to need to know which registry it's using. So as far as I recall, the registry is being stored as a shared pointer. So let's go ahead, let's see. I need to make certain that's the case. So okay, the upload session doesn't have the registry pointer. Okay, so who has the registry pointer? Shared pointer. Yeah, so it is it's being stored as a shared pointer everywhere I use it though. I'm gonna go ahead actually and so I'm gonna go ahead and search for that. Okay. Oh, there's one registry per CDN, right? Oh, I see. So let's go ahead and let's see. Do we want to tie the file bucket allocator to the registry? And that would make sense if the registry has an allocator, right? I don't know. Okay, okay, so this needs to move to create bucket. Alright, so let's just go ahead and I don't know. I might just want the method to have access to the allocator, not the class itself. You know? So I'm just going to... Yeah, that makes more sense to me. I'm going to... bucket as this code. Okay, it's going to... Actually, I'm just going to call that registry. It's evident from the type that it's a file bucket registry. Let's go ahead, copy type signature. Oops. Oh wait, actually, well, we want to do that through a find if, right? This little thing, right? What happened? So this is a different Alright. That's funny. Yeah, so I'm just going to have an empty branch there for now. It's not really that good to do that. So instead, we'll just assume it's false for now, and we'll create the bucket. Let's see. You know what though, we won't really necessarily I want to share pointer to file bucket registry, I don't know. Do we? Kinda. Well, there's only one allocator. There should be. Because if there was more than one allocator, then you'd get overrides and stuff, maybe. Well, only one, yeah, only one allocator and only one registry, because they might, well, we're thinking too much. We just have to move on through it. Let's see. Because the thing is a unique pointer to all the registry items. Copying that, you know, that might be an issue. You have all these copies of the registry items. We'll worry about that later, I guess. Where did all these people come from? That's awesome. Where'd you go? Oh shit. Whatever. Alright, so we're going to take that registry and register item and so on. So we have to provide the correct type here, which is in registry item is the file bucket. So let's see. We want to let's make a unique file bucket and place that on the registry, which will thus return, which will then return a registry item. Well, it'll push the registry item. And the unique pointer of the file bucket is destroyed at that point, actually, now that I think about it. Because if you have a unique pointer and it loses out of scope, or it drops out of scope, then it's gone. It'll delete the object. So we might want to change that. So let's go ahead and see where register item is called. Alright, it's only called in the old location. I'm actually gonna save this real quick and see what it says. Yeah, it's only called in that location, so we can change it to, instead of inline void, we're going to return that unique pointer. So okay, so let's go ahead and change that to return that unique pointer like we did. Okay, we already did that. Let's well, we could do the sync where we return the registered file bucket, and then maybe a promise like, oh, this is when the bucket's this is when the bucket is actually, yeah, that'd be a great idea.
Then when it seemed things couldn't get any worse, we got the plague. The living death. Quickly closing its fist over the entire planet.
Alright, well, the problem is that all this whole procedure could fail, basically. And you don't want that to happen, because if that happens, the file bucket creation fails. So I'm gonna look into, well, let's do this. We'll mark that as a to-do, and It's a weird alignment they went on there, though. Let's go ahead and try to align this. There we go. Control I. So it'll take if it's copyable, if it's owned. What's copyable from? Alright, so let's see. Trying to think of a good variable name. Created object. You can't use new because it's a reserved keyword. Anyway, whatever. So, for some reason, there's no way to append a string to location, so I don't know how I construct the location and in the proper syntax. So let's go ahead, let's look that up. So create data appears to, or create directories appears to take a string. I wonder, let's see, you take a location. File system path, and I want that as a string, but Yeah, it is a string. Jesus. Oops. Oh wait, I need actually a constructor or path that can let me append it to the string. Oh, here we go. I'm done. So I can just do this. FS path and let's take initialization list. I'm just putting a temporary ID there so it can so it's just easier. Put 100 on it. So then it'll create the directory of the registry location. That's the path of that. Let's make sure also that these are interesting. Okay, let's see, so create sort file. That's a different method. Alright, so auto created will create our file bucket with the params that we give it. Size. Is this going to be a default size, I guess, for now? So let's go ahead and how do we do this? We will take this registry and give it the default. Okay, it's the size. I don't know. What was where is that stored? There's a default somewhere. What was it? I think it was. No, that wasn't. Well, was the registry of a default size? I would suppose so. Well. So you think that would be something configurable, but it would eventually be passed down to the registry, I would assume. So let's see, size default. Okay, call it. Okay, so that should be in the constructor of this as well, though. Alright, so we'll make sure that we have enough space for that, right? Where is that at? So Okay, if we make unique file bucket, we do so with the parameters. So we'll take PID. Nice. Yeah, okay. I don't like that. Pseudo constructor. Okay, there we go. Alright, so we don't need the location in there. This will just take, we don't need to do much. Okay. Go ahead, just call this bucket. And ID, size, types, registry, tags. We call it tags here. Oh wait, no, we didn't. No. Well, we distinguish between content type and file type. Someone just asked, someone just asked me what C++ 17 features I'm using. Well, the main one I'm using is the standard file system header. Very useful. Other than that, unique pointers, I think, don't return. Sorry, in place back doesn't return a reference or something, and before C++ 14, I think, yeah. So, well, that's C++ 14. Yeah, off the top of my head, I don't remember exactly, but file system's the main one. Well, I don't know. Actually, in place back, I use in my game engine, so it returns a reference in C++ 14, I think, or maybe it's only 17. Alright, so we don't need the location to get started, but it will, because the file bucket can do the bare minimum, which is throw an exception if there's no space in the registry. That can be the bare minimum of what it verifies. So if there's no exception thrown, then we can create the directory and we can go forward with that. So we take that, no location, and then we can set the bucket location. And so that can't be constant at that point. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll do bucket. And then once we create the bucket, we can register it. So there we go. Woo! Alright. So we create the bucket. Create the bucket. Create. Let's require directories. Okay. So that will return a bucket unique pointer, which is returned here, which is used here. Ugh. Okay, I'll be right back. I'm gonna start the music on though. I'll be back in a couple minutes. Just getting some water. I'm back. Okay. So let's get back to what we're doing. So, what are we doing here? Huh? Yeah, store file. Okay. Okay, now we do want to return a reference to it, that's right. Or, oh, well, no, because return a tuple that is the sign bucket UID, which is its unique ID, but we rename this just ID. And the key. So I just before I kind of wanted to have this like key store system and all that stuff. That's just a bit too complicated for now. You know, so I'm just gonna comment that out. What is the comment? There we go. Oh, I hate that though, it indents it that way. I like the comment being at the beginning of the line. Oh yeah. I should do more code folding actually. And help. Okay. Alright, and alright, so if we have a stored file at the end, no errors happened, whatnot, we will take what we call key here, and we're going to return a stored file ID. So when we have utility we just have a location, a size, and temporary, and so we really do want that ID to be a kind of an ID of that file, but since we're dealing on a time crunch where I can only really contribute to this project a few times a week, a few times a month really, I'm going to just return the location as a string. And no member ID and bucket running. Yeah, there is an ID. What are you talking about? No. There's no member named ID in file bucket. What? There's an ID right here. There it is. Whatever. Alright, so oh, a sign bucket, that's why. Because if there's no assign bucket, then, or sorry, assign bucket is current file bucket's end, then it makes bucket there. So instead we're going to call this maybe bucket. And we're going to say maybe bucket. And assign bucket will be the bucket. Well, never mind, we have to do that. It's a pain in the ass. Okay, let's go ahead. Well, we don't really need it to be constant, I suppose. Yeah, we can't do that. We cannot do that. Well, we either use baby bucket or we use the sign bucket. So in that case, it's not really a maybe. Well. Alright, so instead we'll do this in a function. Upload file. Alright, let's do that. Obtain stored file. That's a good name. So we're going to return let's make this auto. So where does it actually do the file storing? It does it right here. And since we have a variable bucket, like as in we may have to defer the bucket assignment because it won't necessarily be in the current list of buckets. It will have to be in the method because I just don't want to do it overcomplicating it too much. So yeah, anyway. So this does return a unique pointer to the file bucket. The issue with that, of course, is that if we take the file bucket here as a unique pointer and we don't do anything with it, it'll get deleted. So we have to transfer ownership. So what we'll do is, for now, we'll just append it to the list somewhere. Where is that? No, stored. That was a funny mistype. Alright. Alright, so yeah, we wanna copy the ID because we don't really want to delete the bucket. We just wanna copy what we need and return it as this right here. So what we'll do next not too much kind of the dialogue going on. Alright, let's see. Okay. Stored file is going to be the primary procedure. So where stored file is at is, where is that? Where do we create that? Let's see. Create stored file right here. As part of file bucket. So okay. Alright, so that will create a stored file, and all we're doing is taking that location and turning that along with the file bucket ID. Oh yeah, I wanted to have multiple types of file buckets, but let's not do that for now. Oh, that's right. Well, if we do find or create, we might need... Ah, well, we need this all anyway. New file. That's right. Oh, that's not on. Control I. The allocator actually probably does need its own reference to that. Well, it creates a new allocator for the registry, yeah, so. Let's go ahead and it just needs registry, which it has, or instance. Okay, so allocator. Let's try something else. Sounds good. So we're taking we're taking this method here. Let's just make it explicit that it belongs here. We have to do doc strings for this, documentation strings for each method. It's necessary. Okay. We don't need anything else other than the bucket for that one. Chain stored and filed upload, which will take the bucket, create a stored file using that bucket, copy ID, throw away the unique pointer for the bucket, then return the file bucket ID next to the location of the stored file. Alright, so okay. Oh, it even has a awesome. You know what though? I don't know. I don't know if I like this. Better, isn't it? Okay, let's see. I'm kind of lagging behind, huh? So let's see. Create what's we doing? I'm just outlining what I've done on this massive commit because I haven't been keeping up with the version control really. I just look at all that. I mean, it's not a lot. It's sort of a lot from this commit standpoint. This wasn't just all today, it was also last stream. Probably the one before as well. What's on the diff anyway. Okay. Oh yeah, rest in peace, keyboard cat. I know. I heard the news today. You know? Apparently he died. Poor cat. Yeah. Keyboard cat died. That's crazy. I thought he was already dead, like a long time ago, you know? But I guess keyboard cat died today or something. Or maybe yesterday, I don't know. Oh, jeez. That's a really long commit. I'll probably just split that up. Let's take a look at the Lisp code. It's been like 2 hours and we haven't done a Lisp. So I'm just gonna take a look at it. Maybe give you guys an overview of why some of it is in Lisp. Actually, I need to merge the 2 code bases because I'm not too sure they should be separate. So basically, what I have here is I've got this file bucket package, and my plan is, if you can't read Lisp code, follow the indentation, by the way. I know like very few people code Lisp, which is unfortunate, but basically the crack is that, well, by crack I mean the short way of learning to understand Lisp code is it's very simple syntax. There's only linked lists in the syntax, basically. Syntax is entirely these lists. These are a series of nested lists. And the parentheses can be kind of intimidating, but once you realize what it's actually saying, it's very intuitive and makes a lot of sense. So anyway, just look at the indentation. However, how the code is indented is how the data is kind of thought of as. And scoping is not necessarily created by parentheses, like blocks are created in C++ via the, you know, those angle brackets, curly brackets, sorry. Anyway, so in Lisp code, very easy to reason about what's going on, usually, unless there's a lot of heavy macros, which is another thing. But here I'm using the Common Lisp object system to create a class for my file bucket, which will interact over a interface which is unfinished. That's the interop code. This is the last step in integrating the two code bases. Is this interop, and what it is I looked into Swig, which is a way of generating C++ C interfaces from and to, basically, and it didn't support C++ 17, which is a requirement for this code base. So instead, I've taken the liberty of creating an extremely simple C interface to my CDN C++ code, and basically these are just going to be accessors for the main functionality of the CDN, which is beginning a file upload, finishing a file upload, getting the location of a file bucket. All of this is designed so that it can be distributed. It can be a distributed system. And the beauty of it is that once the interface is ready, all the internal details of how, you know, how it gets, what file bucket it's being stored to, all that sort of stuff, it's all in the background. You don't need to really worry about that. Once it's in Common Lisp, I'm going to have a query language that I'm going to devise. Sorry, I'm saying gonna too much. That I'm going to devise, and what it will be is it will allow you to talk to the CDN directly, because it's your own data that it's storing. And so this is all the procedures of some things. I wanted to do more of this in the Common Lisp code, as you can see here. Like, I want to implement chunking, for example, and all that sort of thing. And yeah, so for now it's just a very simple program that hosts an HTTP server, and I've got this simple, or I have rather, this simple HTTP server. Again, if you don't understand Lisp code, just look at the indentation. Very simple. This session right here is the session in the C++ code. So see where we're doing this file uploading session right here, we're using that. That is this over here. This is where that method gets called, right here. File uploading session upload file. This is what gets called by the HTTP method right here. And the procedure is basically we take that upload chunked endpoint over here, and it's going to do an HTTP chunked upload, which is pretty fast. It's not like super fast, but it'll handle all that pretty fast or quickly, because the browser is optimized for those kinds of uploads, or those kinds of requests rather. So, right, that's why I'm using the Lisp. I didn't use Node.js or anything because I'm not going to be able to write a query language that's as powerful there will be a query language for JavaScript, but it will be on the front end. By front end, I mean it will be within the app, or whatever that's using it. I'm going to be using this for my Media Center application, which I also have live streams for on my channel. That's in Python and JavaScript. So that's what we're doing. Anyway, so I want to see what I can do with this right now, and just see if I can check up on the status of how this is going with the Lisp code, because it's been a while. So yeah, it looks like we don't really have a oh, we do have a package. Okay, so we have some modified changes that I made I didn't commit, but which include some basic things. Okay, so this is what the title of the package is. I'll do that. This is a system. This is defined as a system in ASDF, which is Common Lisp System Definition. Well, the de facto standard. Common Lisp is made up of de facto standards because the actual standard hasn't been updated since its formation. And okay. Okay. Let's see. Why is it not there already? What's happening? That's weird. Slime isn't working. That's great. Well, might not be doing Lisp today because it's kind of a pain in the ass to get that fixed, I guess. So, does it work here? No. Why is it not doing anything? Oh, I don't have. Wait, what? Oh, I do. What? No. Oh, right. That's why I had to do a reinstall, and that kind of sucked. Yeah, Keyboard Cat's been dead for a while. I don't know what what the heck? Keyboard Cat? Is this a hoax? I need to find out. Actually, no. The Keyboard Cat died, yeah. So that cat lives to be very old. Anyway, that doesn't matter. So yeah, I'm gonna have to do that in another video. Maybe I'll tag videos as C++ or Common Lisp only. I don't know. Not really sure. Does anyone have any suggestions? I don't know if there's anyone in. There's only anonymous people, it looks like. Anyway, we'll just try to compile it here at this project, that is. Oops. What is it? Oh, what the? That should be already, that should be in there, right? Wow, that's right. Oh wait, I can just do auto. What am I doing? Oh, that's a constructor. Oh, duh. How is that constructor again? Alright. This constructor's almost that. Oh, I didn't have that. You guys copy paste. Lucky me. You got all sorts of compile timers. It's great. No, it's not. C++ really needs modules. As soon as C++ gets modules, that will be just like great. I don't know. It'll change everything. But that's gonna be only a reality in something like 3 years. Hey, Little Fire Studio, how's it going? I have one Twitch viewer. I find that Twitch tends to be more active in the evenings, I guess. I don't know. Man, am I hungry. Okay, what else do we have here? Max size, we don't have that. Yeah, there's no max size in there. I'm gonna make the header file on the right side because for some reason it wants to for that. Oops. Max size. Actually, for now, let's just comment that out because I don't want to deal with that shit. If it has enough space for it, it can store it. Let's just keep it at that for now. Oh wait, shit. That's right. Size right now. Oh, I see. That's like allocated space versus, yeah, that's allocated size. That's a much better name. It's a much better name. Seriously hungry, like really hungry, and the album just ended. You know what? I'm definitely gonna do a part 2. So if you guys want to watch some more, I'm gonna eat lunch, take a quick break, and then I'll be back. Sometimes I don't do a part 2 just because I don't feel like it, but I really want to get this debugged, so let's do that. So I'll be back in like an hour, at least an hour. I would say at 1:15 my time, which is, well, no, 2:15. So an hour and 20 minutes. I'll be back. Okay? Alright. Thanks for watching. If you're not going to be here in the next part, see you next time, whatever that is. Alright. Well, thank you very much.